Welcome to Discipleship Hoops Podcast, where basketball meets purpose. This isn't just about mastering skills on the court, it's about developing the complete athlete. We're here to help young players grow stronger, smarter, and more skilled while deepening their character and strengthening their faith. At Discipleship Hoops, we believe basketball is more than a game. It's a platform for transformation, teaching discipline, teamwork, and resilience. Together, let's empower the next generation of leaders to excel both on and off the court. This is Discipleship Hoops through basketball. What's going on, man? Back at you once again. Appreciate all the love, all the subscriptions, all the downloads. I truly appreciate this. You all have made this worth it. So I'm truly thankful and grateful for all of you out there. Man, welcome to the episode 6 of the Discipleship Hoops podcast. To my right today is really need no introduction. I mean, we're gonna hop right into it, but honestly, I went to download your bio.
Okay.
And after I got the 2 pages long, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do it justice.
Right.
So
Right.
Mr. Daniel DP Price is here today. Jackson, Mississippi's own one and only DP. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on? I appreciate you having me.
Man, so for those that for some whatever reason outside of the Jackson, the capital city, central Mississippi area, who's Daniel DP Price?
Oh man, I'm just a father and a lover of hoops. Disciple maker. Just want to help kids get better and help people accomplish their goals and their dreams and stuff, man. So, I'm from Jackson, born and raised from Jackson, Mississippi. Went to Jackson Public Schools here. You know what I'm saying, and have gone off to just have success in the college space of basketball and stuff like that.
Right. So let's go there. So born and raised Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
How did basketball become a part of your story?
Oh, man, basketball really came to me through my uncle Danny. So that's how basketball came to me. My uncle Danny. I had all my uncles and aunts kind of played basketball a little bit, and just as a kid coming from a single parent home, my mom would get out in the yard, and play ball with me, and pass the basketball, shoot with me a little bit. Throw the football with me, things like that. So sports became a part, just of my upbringing, and through just having my family around and stuff like that. So that's really how I came into playing basketball and was introduced into basketball by my uncle Danny.
Right. So, with that introduction and then all the support and love you had around you, like you've coached at, all levels, right? You coached the high school level,
Yep.
NAIA level, even won championship at NAIA. So what did you take with you in your coaching philosophy that you learned as a lad after shooting with your moms?
Well, being able to coach at every single level from AAU to high school to NAIA to Division I, on both the men's and women's side of basketball. One of the things for me growing up, the hard work, the dedication to your craft and just putting in hard work and never taking no for an answer. So for me, my mom instilling that in me, especially being from Jackson, man. You got to be able to get it out the mud. To be honest with you, it's a hard place to get out of, to make it. But you can make it from Jackson. A lot of people have. So for me, it's just one of those things where the discipline aspect of it, the no quit attitude, and just the mental toughness aspect is what has helped me at every level.
Yeah, so it's good you just said that because last episode I had Darius Rice on.
Okay.
Right near.
Yeah.
He was just talking about coming up and playing with Jerry Nichols and
Yep.
how he was right before Monte Ellis.
Yep.
And all these different phenomenal superstars and
Right.
around back then.
Right.
So you was around then. You've seen all that take forward when basketball probably in Mississippi. My opinion was probably at its mecca.
Oh, yes.
Right, during that time with all those great players, you had the Ryan Lodges that come through,
Mhm.
Justin Reeds, that
Yep.
like all these different just phenomenal hoopers, right? Um, Now, I've seen you at a couple tournaments now. You can, especially at our end of season
Right.
tournaments, high school tournaments that we have.
Mhm.
So the state of basketball now, like where do you see it now, and where can you imagine it going?
From a basketball standpoint, I think that we are in a place right now, basketball here, where development is key. Everybody wants to play at a high level, but you got to be able to develop and get better to be able to play at a high level. I think so. For me, I would say that the development piece around the state, I would like to see it get a little bit better. Honestly, I would like to see it get a little better. And I'm used to Jackson being dominant.
Right.
I'm not used to seeing can Germantown and all them winning championships. So I'm used to Lanier. When I was coming up in high school, Lanier, Tang Hamilton and Shannon Long and Adrian Hatchett, like those are the guys that I played against. Who said, and they were older than me, a class or two classes older than me, and so I'm used to seeing the development piece, like players getting better every single day, and every year they taking that step up. So I would say that from a standpoint of where do I see it being, I think basketball here in the state is good. We just gotta be seen because we're constantly putting out players. We've always put out players.
Right.
I mean, we've had people. I mean, James Hollywood Robinson. I mean, we had so many people that have gone to the league. You got Mo Williams, Justin Reed. We had players like David Sanders come out. I mean, it's just so many players that we've had throughout the years and over the decades that have come out and had a lot of success.
Yeah, I agree with you. Development is key. We talked silly about how I do a lot with the younger kids, the elementary age kids, and soon as they get there, and I say warm up, the first place they go is to that 3-point.
3-point line, I know it.
You can't even make a lay.
You can barely dribble it.
Right. What?
We jacking threes.
Yeah. In a conversation I had with my son, his sophomore year of high school was, because he was there, I'm gonna shoot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I blame Steph Curry. But when the kids don't understand, Steph Curry was shooting threes at 5.
Right.
He didn't wake up at 23, coming out of Davidson. It was like, you know what? I think I'm going to start being the greatest 3-point shooter of all time.
Yeah.
Right? It was development, years and years and years and years of development. I think that's one key piece that a lot of kids these days are missing.
I would say from a standpoint of just people just jacking up threes, I don't think they really understand how many layups the Warriors actually get.
Right.
Yes, we highlight his 3-points because that's the analytical part of basketball now, but they get tons of layups throughout the game, throughout the course of the game. Steph gets a lot of layups because you're trying to guard him for the 3. So he'll backdoor you, he'll curl cut, he'll drive it to the basket, shot fake, get to the layup, shoot his floater, you know what I'm saying? So he gets a lot of layups, but the only thing that people see is the threes. They highlight and show the long range threes and stuff like that. So I would say that having a well-rounded game is key. A lot of people don't shoot the mid range anymore. I mean, look at Kawhi Leonard, look at Michael Jordan, look at Kobe Bryant, look at Melo. Those kind of players shot the mid range jump shot. And they could shoot the 3 and they can get to the basket.
Yeah, I think one thing that's missing with that is that a lot of kids these days can't create their own shot to get to the brain.
Right.
Because they haven't mastered how to dribble correctly.
Correct.
Like I've witnessed kids do through the legs, behind the back, spin, and in the exact same spot. I'm like, not even possible.
Hey,
You're 4 different dribble moves, and you in the same spot.
Well, we have to get back to teaching players to dribble with a purpose.
Right, exactly.
And I don't think we do. The state of basketball, I don't think has done a really good job over the last few years of really teaching those points, those fundamental points of really teaching the game. now the game is just played from 3-point line to 3-point line most of the time. And it's not a lot of teaching of how to actually think the game and play the game.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, there are, a lot of coaches out there that are doing, the
Right.
best with training and development and things like that. And so speaking of development, overtime performance.
Yeah.
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 So that's your baby.
Yeah.
I've just reading, you've put a lot of kids that's been through your program has went on to play at a high level in the next level,
Right.
and still playing very well today, championships and banners and all those types of things.
Yeah.
What inspired you to go with that?
Well, to be honest with you, it was I actually got the vision in 2008, and just sitting around, and I had this vision of developing players or whatever, because I was thinking about just going into coaching and stop playing myself and just going into coaching. So my daughter Camry, she came to me one day when she was going into the 6th grade, and she was like, "Hey, Dad, I want to play basketball." And I was like, "Yes, finally," because I never wanted to force the game on my kids. I never wanted to force the game on my kids. So when she did that, I started taking her to the gym, and this is when I was at Georgetown College. So I started taking her to the gym, and then next thing I know, she was like, "Dad, can I invite my friend?" And I was like, "Sure." So she brought one friend, and then next thing I know, she was trying to invite more friends, and I'm just like, "Wait, hold on, baby. I'm trying to help you get better, And so what ended up happening is I just had a lot of people asking me if I could work out with their child and do some things with their child. And I also at the time I was working out Northwest Rankin's high school girls team during the summer. So I would go in during the summer and work out with them. I know the first year that I went in to work with them, they had just finished a 13-15 season. And so I worked with them that summer, and then the next year they went 27-6. I'm not saying it's totally me, but I just came in and they put them through a lot of things and helped the coach and showed the coach different things that she could do in practice and stuff like that. So once I started training all these kids, and parents started asking me because they started seeing my daughter get better in a short period of time, and that was her first time actually playing basketball.
Right.
So all these parents started asking me, and so I was just like, you know what, let me do this, because a lot of the kids that I was working out were kids that were getting looked over. So I was always been in the place of to me an underdog situation. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I grew up in a single parent home, didn't have my dad there. My mom basically had to work to raise 4 of us. So a lot of the stuff I ended up learning on my own. As I went through, I learned a lot of stuff on my own. So I just kind of looked at it, I didn't want a lot of other kids to go through that. They needed somebody to actually be there to help them, to support them. So that's what actually got me into starting overtime performance.
Okay, how's that going?
Man, it's going pretty good. Once I actually started coaching at the Division I level, I had to sit that to the side. So because you got all these different rules. NCAA rules, recruitable athletes, the recruitable age stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I actually stopped doing it over the last 2 years because I was at Marshall and then at Jackson State as well. So I put that to the side and then just followed the kids that I've trained and sent to school.
I mean, you've only done over 125 kids.
I mean, that's a blessing. What's crazy about it, I really never just looked at the number at first until I was just sitting down one day, and I was just like, all the different kids, hitting me up as far as like my former players, like, "Hey, coach, how you doing?" Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dang, and I started just counting. I'm like, whoa, I done helped a lot of people go to school, but that's the kind of thing I enjoy, man, just being able to give back. Because one of the things I like to tell people is that, I have a gift. God gifted me this, this heart, this passion to be able to help. And so for me, just I believe that my gift is not my own. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that in giving back, and if I can help you in any kind of way, I'm willing to help. Like, I can give an example. I can give you 2 examples here recently, right? So, um, John Knight,
Mhm.
right? John Knight is we would call him the OG. You know what I'm saying? I would call him the OG. You know what I'm saying? So
On the court, the enforcement.
yeah, I'm being enforcer. So, John Knight, is somebody that I would, when I go to the gyms and stuff like that, I would play against sometimes and stuff like that. So I saw where his son was leaving the school that he was at. So I called John Knight. Hey, I got somewhere for your son to go. Not looking for anything. I just saw that he was in a situation to where that he was transferring. So, I was like, hey, I got somebody that I used to coach and that I used to train who's a head coach that I want to send him to, and so I sent John Knight the third to Southern Utah, and he had a really great career at Southern Utah and ended up, he's in the G League right now. Most recently with Tang Hamilton, his son, So it was one of those things where, like, even Tang, like, I know Tang from playing against Tang, and I've always respected Tang's game. And so I saw where, his son, was transferring. So I called Tang up. Hey, Tang, I got somewhere for your son to go, So I sent him to High Point, and his son had helped them win championships, 2 championships, So it's just things like that, man. If I can help in any kind of way, I'm willing to help, and I don't ever look for anything out of it.
So in your journey and your coaching and dealing with a lot of parents and managing expectations, right? Like for the young parents, or the parents that are watching this and they're just want so bad for their kid to use basketball for education and opportunities and all those types of things.
Right.
What advice did you give them?
Well, I would say for any parent that's just out there, I would say this: you got to be careful with who you're working with. Do your homework on who you're working with, as far as people trying to show up, when your kid's a superstar, and now hey, I can do this for your kid and yada yada. You got to be leery of people like that.
Yeah.
For me, it's always been about taking a kid in the 4th grade or the 5th grade and building them to that stardom, So I would say be leery about who you're dealing with, who's coming, who's all of a sudden showing up. I would say development is key. If your child is at a young age, I don't believe they need to be trying to travel all across the country.
Right.
I don't believe in that. Don't travel all across the country just to go play basketball and things like that, because we're not recruiting 5th graders. We're not recruiting 6th graders. We're not recruiting 7th graders. And we might look at an 8th grader, just to see the projection, especially if there's a kid that's playing varsity. We might see it, what I'm saying, but we're not recruiting that, what I'm saying? So I would say, development is key. Just keep developing, staying in the gym, making sure you're with someone who can actually teach your child how to play and think the game, not just 1,000 dribble moves and into a shot, because that's not basketball. You're not going to be able to do 1,000 dribble moves and then shoot, because at the collegiate level, you got a shot clock, and you better be moving that basketball to running that offense. You know what I'm saying? So those are the couple of things I would say. Just be leery about people who's showing up out of the woodwork, and making sure you're with somebody that can actually develop. And you don't have to travel all across the country. Now, when they get into the high school level and that they might be at the EYBL level, that's different. You know what I'm saying? But as a young kid, to me, you don't have to be traveling all across the country.
Yeah, there's something I just thought about. You said that as far as young kids, because I have a lot of kids that do multiple sports, right?
Right.
Baseball, soccer, basketball, and I hear different takes on it, right? Like
Mhm.
when a kid get to a certain level, they need to focus on just one sport, right? And I think there may be some validity to that as a 11th grader or 12th grader,
Right.
so for a fact you projected to go
Yeah.
to play ball in college.
Yeah.
Younger age, I mean, why not? Why not play baseball during baseball season? Why not play basketball during basketball season? Why not play soccer during soccer season? If you're 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade.
Well, I was a multi-sport athlete. So all the way up until my sophomore year in high school is when I stopped with football. Part of the reason I was forced to stop, I said, I ain't taking a hit like that no more. I said, I'm done with this. I am. Oh, I stopped playing football and actually just stuck with basketball and track.
Okay.
And so for me, I would have went to college and ran track. You know what I'm saying? But I just love basketball so much. But I had a lot of track offers. You know what I'm saying? More track offers than I did basketball offers. So, but I just love the game so much that I wanted to just stick with basketball. But I did 2 sports from my junior year, to my senior year. So I would say playing multiple sports makes you a better athlete because you work in different muscles with the different sports. You know what I'm saying? So it's just going to make you a better athlete. So I encourage parents and kids to make sure you're playing multiple sports. It's just going to make you better.
Yep.
Are you ready to take your child's game to the next level? You gotta check in with Discipleship Hoops. We offer individualized basketball training designed to help your young athletes not only master their craft on the court, but also to build discipline, confidence, and faith. Whether they need work improving their shot, sharpening their ball handling skills, or elevating their basketball IQ, we do it all in our tailored sessions that are designed to help your player grow not only as a player, but as a leader. Don't wait. Don't delay. Start your journey today. Visit j5solutions.com/discipleship hoops. That's j5solutions.com/discipleship hoops. Let's build their game and their future one step at a time. That's j5solutions.com/discipleship hoops. That's solutions.com/discipleship hoops. We can't wait to get you on the court.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. I mean, there is a varsity player that was on our team this year who, at the beginning of the year, signed a baseball scholarship.
Okay.
But like 2 weeks ago, he just signed a basketball scholarship, D1 for Illinois. So,
What for? Where for? Who?
Louisiana Monroe.
For real?
Yep.
So what did he decide?
He going basketball. Yes. That was his dream to play D1, even though he had already signed a baseball scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah, the school came and offered him a basketball scholarship without hesitation.
Hey, I listen. I get it, but hey, at the same time, ain't nothing like that baseball. Nothing like that baseball money, man. My goodness, man, those contracts are crazy.
I think somewhere Alex Rodriguez still get.
You know, man, that stuff. But hey, those NBA contracts getting out wages too now, bro. But sometimes you just gotta follow that passion and that love. You know what I'm saying? So, kudos to that young man.
Yeah. Let's go on the court for a second.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about the Infernal D.
Oh man.
All right, so I've done enough research and I've have followed you all enough to know what the Infernal defense is, and all your stops obviously is work. Multiple NIA championships. You won at every level.
Yeah.
What is it about the Infernal defense that separates itself?
Well, so I fancied myself as a offensive player, until my coach told me, no, you're going to play defense. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to my coach, Chris Jans. He's the Mississippi State head coach. He said, you're going to play defense. I said, all right, cool, coach, I got you. So actually, man, I learned to be able to just really, I just love the defense, and I was a to me, I felt more like a lockdown defender. I just had the ability to score and put myself in position to score. So what Inferno is Inferno is it's a hot and terrible place. So when I feel like when you come play us, you're gonna be in a hot and terrible place. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna heat you up defensively. I believe that my philosophy is always let my defense, dictates my offense. So we basically want to just score a lot in transition. We want to turn you over as much as possible. So it's like we're up pressing, nonstop, for 40 minutes, and so that's kind of how it came about, because I just remember certain times throughout my career having to pick up 94 feet, and so it's like, you know what? I made a lot of people uncomfortable. As my senior year in college, I was like top 5 in the nation in steals. So I was just like, I'm gonna carry that on with me. And then I learned a lot of stuff from watching, Rick Pitino. One of the coaches that I coached under, Donnie Butcher. He learned a lot from Billy Donovan, and so I learned a lot of different press things from Billy Donovan as well. And I was always a fan of Coach Cal. So one of the things that I picked up from him is being able to take a group of superstars and being able to help get them to buy in to taking a lesser role for the the greater good or whatever. But I've just been able to use it at different stops and kind of just being an assistant at some of those stops, just being able to say, hey, maybe we should do this on defense. Let's look at this, things like that. But as a head coach, as a head coach, 40 minutes of Inferno, come on, get it.
So you just said something there, and I want to go back to. You said that your coach told you that your job not to play offense, to play defense.
Yeah.
Made the switch and transform. Well, also look for your opportunity.
Listen, I had to make the switch if I wanted to play. My coach was not playing.
And so, Key, you said that, 'cause I heard a story probably about a month ago now about Patrick Beverly, how he averaged 37 points in high school.
Oh, yes.
And right now, anybody look up Patrick Beverly, he gonna think defensive special.
Yeah.
But that he averaged 37 points
Yes.
in Chicago, not Illinois.
Right.
Right. The city of Chicago, he averaged 37 points, but now in the NBA, he's known for his defense.
Right.
As a result, what he's been in the 10, 12, almost probably 13 years.
So one of the things that kids are going to have to understand with the game is that there are going to be a lot of kids that can score at the next level. We are, at the collegiate level, you're recruiting the best players you can get, multiple players that probably play the same position. So someone's going to have to play defense. Someone's going to have to rebound the basketball. Someone's going to have to pass the basketball. Right. So in order for you to get on the floor, you gotta figure out what you're going to do. And one of the things that I've always told the kids that I've worked with, and even the teams that I have coached, I always tell them, you'll have an opportunity to score if you're playing defense, because you're going to be on the floor. If you can defend and if you're willing to sit down and guard somebody, you're going to have multiple opportunities to score the basketball. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's kind of have been my philosophy, but you got to find a way to get on the floor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So defense is key, because defense wins championships. And I'm always going to believe in that. I mean, I've had a couple. I've had a couple championships.
That's right. That's right. So that's good. So as we transition from on the court to off the court, I know, you're a family man, you're a man of God. And
yes.
You don't sugarcoat or hide behind that.
Right.
You are definitely a man of God and a man of faith. And one time I heard the coach, the women's coach for Stafford, she said that when she goes to recruit players, she don't even look, before she looks at their scoring, she looks at their character when the team is up 20, when they're down 20.
Yep.
And she watches body language. She watches how they interact. Just their character. And I thought that was so good. And she says that she identifies a player that has great character when they're up 20 and down 20. Then she goes look at stats.
Right.
Like, man,
Right.
that's
Right.
that's so, with your faith and with your love for God, how do you use that when you mentor, when you coach, when you lead?
Well, I believe, in a holistic approach to coaching and to developing players. So for me, my approach when I'm coaching, whether I'm an assistant coach or a head coach, my approach is every single morning I'm sending you a devotional. I'm sending the team a devotional or a motivational quote.
Right.
Because I believe that if you're good off the court,
Right.
you'll be great on the court.
Right.
So that's just some of the things that I just truly believe in. I try to make sure that I send out that devotional every single morning. I remember one morning I actually forgot to do it because I was in the midst of traveling to go recruit, and I didn't do it. And this is when I was at Marshall, and so I started getting text messages and calls from the players like, "Coach, are you okay? You okay? What's going on?" I'm like, "What y'all talking about?" They was like, "You didn't send out the devotional this morning." And so I'm like, "Oh, my bad. I apologize." I was like, "Look, I woke up and started, had to get to where I was getting to," and I was like, "I apologize." But I just believe in that holistic approach, man. And I think that, one of the things is this: my faith is my faith, and I don't know what you believe, right? When we're recruiting the kids, I don't know what you believe, what you know, and what you don't know. So I'm not a person that's gonna knock you across the head with my faith. You know what I'm saying? So I might just plant the seed, and somebody else might water it. You know what I'm saying? So I'll plant that seed by, sending you a devotional, sending you a prayer for today, sending you a scripture for today, things like that, because I just want you, because kids go through a lot, man. Kids go through a lot. They have stuff they have to deal with at home. Then you got these boyfriend, girlfriend issues that they might be going through out of their school. And then, you got class and the stress of class and taking exams. And then you still got to come to practice. You know what I'm saying? So I just believe in making sure that they start the day with something positive. And if they can start the day with something positive, I just truly believe that once they come to practice, everything will be good. And that's kind of have been my approach. And I've had success with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think even for us coming up when we were playing, once we got to the basketball court, that was our safe zone.
Right. Listen, the gym has always been my sanctuary. I have always looked at it that way because once I get in the gym, man, nothing else matters but that.
Exactly. So, you have a son playing in overseas. You have a family. So when you finish coaching 30, 40 years from now, I don't know how long you're going to continue. What do you want the kids that you've coached to say your legacy? Coach DP was this for me.
I would say that most of the kids would say that Coach DP cared about me as a person over the player.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of kids will say, that it's nothing that I wouldn't do for them. If I can help them in any kind of way. I still have players that's calling me for advice, you know what I'm saying, that I haven't worked with since high school, and they're graduating from college. And, they hit me up and ask me for advice, so I think that I've done a really good job of letting them know how much I care about them, as people and about their future.
Right.
And so I would say that would be one of the things.
That's good. And so, one thing towards the end of these that I always like to do is kind of like open the floor up,
Yeah.
all right, and give you 3 perspectives, right, for you to respond to.
Okay.
3.
Okay.
So you've coached at a high level.
All right.
So all the young coaches out there just trying to find their way, maybe it's their 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year, and they're still on the Mackey and the losing.
Mm-hmm.
What's your advice to them for as far as patience, trusting the process? And then as a parent, you have a son that plays professional.
Mm-hmm.
So parents that just want so mad for little Johnny and little Susie to get that opportunity to play. As a parent, what's your trust the process advice?
So I would say for coaches, learn as much as you can. Go to coaching clinics. Go to coaching clinics, network. Watch a lot of basketball, as much basketball as possible. Don't overload yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't overload yourself. It'll come. The more you figure out how you want to go about doing things, the better you're going to get. So once you find, because that's how I was. Once I found the system or in the different pieces that I've taken from other people and I put it and made it my own, that's where my success has come from. And so I would just say, just keep grinding in that aspect. Go to coaching clinics. I mean, you can find some gyms. Like, I remember being at an AAU tournament, and Gino Auriemma was not sitting at the EYBL court. He was sitting over at another court just watching basketball. And one of the things that Gino has said is he go to high school practices. He'll go to a high school practice, and he's learned a lot of stuff at high school practice. And Gino has 12 national championships. You know what I'm saying? So young coaches, man, don't worry about it. Gino has 12 national championships, and he learns things from high school coaches. So I would say, just that aspect, keep learning. Keep learning. For parents who want to see their kid, just, I want to see my kid make it. I never pressure my kid to play. So my son, Zachary, that's playing in Australia right now, he didn't start playing basketball until his senior year of high school. Senior year of high school is when he actually started playing organized basketball.
Wow, that's good. Yeah.
So he went to college, became he had a little different process. I sent him to junior college. He went to junior college. I sent him to one of my college teammates because I knew my college teammate would hold him accountable because when he was a freshman, I held him accountable. He was a freshman my senior year. So I held him accountable as a player and kind of pushed him, and I knew he would do the same for my son. So I sent him there, and he stayed on my son, and helped make sure he got better. And then he became a two-time all-conference player, and then I made him sit for a year to where we just worked out. Right. So I made him sit out of college for a year, and we just trained and just worked out, stayed in the gym. Because he had a lot to learn because he didn't start to his senior year. And so then he went to school there, and then boom. Yeah. He's been playing professionally for 4 years now, and he's been to a couple of different countries already, but this is his second year in Australia. So
that's good. Are you before you start coaching again, are you doing any training, doing OTP around?
Oh man, that's crazy because I've been asked that question a lot, and
well, somebody about to hit you up on social media, so I'm just giving you.
Yeah, man. So I really have been thinking about it because I just got to be careful because I interviewed for a few jobs, for a few head coaching jobs, and so I mean I can right now because I've already made that transition, so I can right now. So you better hit me up quick. But if I decide not to go, well, first off, it's not what I decide, it's where God leads me. Right. So if God leads me to a non-NCAA school, then I'm training everybody. I'm getting back to it because that's what I love to do. I love developing players. Exactly. And I just love coaching, but I love the development piece of it and just seeing the process of players going from one place to another. I just love the journey of it.
Yep. Yeah, that's good, man. So, last question.
Okay.
I always ask this at the end of it. Like I say, I'm knowing you long enough, so I know the answer to this. We probably have had some discussions about his topic.
Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan #1, Kobe #2. You can put Bron wherever you want to put him after that. But Michael Jordan 1, Kobe 2 for me. That's all. It will always be that.
Michael Jordan. I will agree. Michael Jordan was the best player in the 90s. Remember, growth happens when we take what we learn and apply action to it. Appreciate
No problem, man. Appreciate you for having me, man.
See y'all later.
See you.